Hello, this is Jeff Byers, and this is Andy 235, and we're going to go ahead and get right into using Quick Rig. I know some students had some questions and couldn't get it to work properly, so I went ahead and checked it out on. I think I used Quick Rig once. That was back in Maya 2020, I think. It seemed to work okay, but looks like there are some issues with 2024. So let's go ahead and get right to it. So what I want you to do is we need to clean your model up. So make sure you kind of marquee select the whole thing, the whole character, accessories, everything. And we're going to go ahead and clean this up. So what I want you to do is go to Edit, and Delete by Type History, and Modify Freeze Transformations. Okay. I also want you to put everything in a layer. So select things like your hair. Make sure that you don't have individual strands. Make sure that it's one solid piece. We do want to keep the model separate, like the hair. You have the eyes separate, eyelashes. If you have teeth, you need to have those separated. And you can see that everything that is a article of clothing that you will have it in its own layers. As you can see, my layers are set up so I can turn them off and on anytime I want to. Alright, so once you get all that done, you can pause the video. When you get all that done, you're going to want to then keep it separate. Keep all those pieces separate. It's going to be a lot easier when you do paint weights. Okay, you'll have to trust me on that, especially when you get to the hair. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get Quick Rig started. So I'm going to go ahead and select the whole character. And I'm going to go into rigging. So I'm going to hold down the space bar. You can also have rigging set up here. So you usually have it in modeling, but you can click on rigging and you can get to everything up here. I like to use the marking menu. So I'm going to hold down the space bar. I'm going to go to skeleton. And at the very bottom, you see Quick Rig. All right. With Quick Rig selected, we could do a one-click, but that we want to be able to place some of these joints in certain spaces. Quick Rig doesn't do a great job in placement, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's click on step by step. We're going to click on plus sign to create a new character. Okay. And we're going to click on the plus sign underneath geometry. That'll gather everything up you have here and put it into the system. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and create an update, because these are the guides. So these little round things that you're going to see aren't actual joints, they're just guides. So go ahead and click on create an update. I'm going to turn the resolution to 512. This may take a little bit longer, but it gives us a higher resolution. So click on create and update. This will take a while, so just be patient. I paused the video, so it took about 20 to 30 seconds. Okay, with that done, then we can go ahead and move. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, or you can push it to the side, whatever you want to do. So these are just guides. So this just kind of tells us where the joints will be and where the break points are. As you can see, there's nothing on the fingers. So that seems to be the biggest hang up and issue in 2024 for some odd reason. I'm not exactly sure. There's no documentation. They have some workarounds that don't work, and it's very finicky on the hand joints that I do want you to have some. I figured I'd make this real quick video so we can get that done and taken care of. I found a way to bypass everything. So I'm going to go ahead and move these around where I want to. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on snap to projected center. So I'm going to have that selected. And that allows me to go ahead and move this around And I usually like to go to the top view to kind of get things centered. Also like to make sure I have my wireframe on so you can kind of see what I've got going on here, so I can see that I'm way off my wrist. So this is basically kind of the area where your wrist is right around this area here. And the elbow's too far down. You can see the crease is going to be right about there. So it's not that it's too far off, it's just off a little bit. And that's enough to make a huge difference in your rigging. All right, you can see how I've got a preferred angle in here, from here to here to here. You can see that little angle in here. That's really good to have. One of the things, and I didn't really cover before we started, was that you need to be facing the Z. You can see the axis is right down in the lower left-hand corner. You need to be facing the Z for this to work. If you're facing some other way, you're going to have to rotate your character around to the Z. All right. Another thing I want to talk about that I didn't talk about before we started, I wish I would have, but now I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. If you are having issues with this and it's not working, make sure that you don't have any of this, any of these pieces, okay, under a grouping. If you have it under a grouping, you're going to have a problem. So if you have things parented together, or you have translation values on here, or translate nodes in here, you have to select it, like open it up, select it, and middle mouse button and drag it out. Okay? Usually deleting the history will get rid of any problems, but you're going to have to ungroup things. All right, so you can go to edit and ungroup. Okay, select the object, ungroup it, or unparent it. Okay, so those are things you need to be able to see and be able to select everything in your outliner. The outliner's under Windows outliner. Okay, so I'm sorry I didn't say that before. I'm kind of in a hurry trying to get all this stuff done, and hopefully you won't have any issues. So we got the first two here. The next thing that I saw that's kind of odd is the neck and the head placement. So I am going to go into my channel editor, and I'm going to turn off the hair for a second and go to the side view. And in the side view, I'm going to kind of figure out what I want to do with this. So I'm going to click on this guy right here, and I move it in the center down a little bit. And then this one is kind of where the jaw would rotate, your upper part of your head would rotate and pivot. So you kind of go in between these two lines. So I'm going to kind of go right about there. Okay. And so that's good for the neck and the head. And then we have the spine, which is fine. And then we got these two guys. So I'm going to kind of move that down. Again, it's just like your neck and head. You're kind of doing a cross section at an angle, okay? And you kind of want it in between that cross section right there. The knees are very, very close. They're not too bad. Again, I'm going to go ahead and click on wireframe and kind of get an idea where the back of the leg is, and those are really close to where they should be. I'm just going to do one thing. I'm going to kind of work on one side, the left side, and I'm going to move it forward, okay, just a little bit, so we can get kind of a nice angle there. And then the ankle's too high for this character, so I'm going to move it down right about to there. And then we can see the foot. Again, I'm going back and forth between perspective. Okay, so I'm going to click on this bone joint right there, this guide, and I'm going to move it up, and this is going to be the toe. Okay, so I'm going to move it about halfway in between like that. So this is our ankle and this is our toe. All right, the rest is okay. We're going to leave the rest the way it is. So let's mirror what we have changed so far. So I'm going to click on this one, shift select this one, and let's go back into this. And we want to mirror. So Okay, if you got it facing the Z, you're going to select those two, hold the shift key down, and then click on the mirror tool right here. Okay, and you can see that it will mirror exactly what we changed over here, will mirror over there. And we don't have to do that with the head and neck because they're the same. We can click on this guy right here, and let's click on mirror tool, and you can see that switched down. Click on this guy and then mirror tool that over, and then we'll click on this one, mirror it, and this one, and then mirror that one like that. So everything's good now. Now we're ready to create out of the guides. We're going to create a skeleton from that. So we're done with the guides. We're done with the adjustment of the guides, and now we're down to step 4 with the skeleton and rig generation. So make sure it's under, we've got skeleton and control rig, and click on create an update. Now, excuse me. Before I do that, if you don't want a control rig, you could just do skeleton only. But we do kind of want a control rig. We want it to add all of the expressions and stuff to make this character have inverse kinematics and forward kinematics and twist, hip twist. And we need arm twist, forearm twist. So we need to have the skeleton and control rig. So let's click on create an update, and that gets rid of the guides and creates our character control rig. All right. So the first thing that I notice is that the controllers are really small because I have my character in feet. So in preferences, you can see that if yours looks different and you can see the controllers, then you're at a smaller scale, and you probably need to enlarge it, and probably should have done that before you started, but it's okay. It's not too late for that. So under settings, you can click linear to foot. Maya usually defaults at centimeter, but if you go to foot, you'll have to scale your character up, and I would recommend combining the character before you scale it. Make sure you select everything, combine it, and scale it up. And about between 5 and 6 feet tall. I wouldn't go any taller than that. That means each unit is a foot. So you can see that it looks like my grid is turned off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet 5 inches what she is set at. Okay. All right. So that's here nor there, meaning that you can't see the controllers. You can see them. They're really, really teeny. If I hit the F key, there they are. They're really, really tiny. And we need to make those bigger, unfortunately, because of the scale that we have. Okay. All right. The reason why we scale things up from centimeters, especially when you're using Arnold for a render engine, your textures will look better and your renders will look a lot better too as well. So it's a good thing that we do that. It's just a little more work for us. So we're going to go into Outliner. If you don't have Outliner open, you can go to Windows, Outliner. Open that up. And we're going to click on this guy right here. So we're going to have to select, we're going to have to change every one of these. I'll just get you started, then I'm going to pause the video. But the first one is the hips controller. All right, so I'm going to minimize the quick rig just for a little bit. I'm going to go to Control A, and that's going to open up the attribute editor for this particular controller effector. So under radius, we want to change that to 10, and that's the only one that you're going to do at 10. The rest of them, you're just going to click each one, go right down the list, and you don't want to miss anything. The rest of them are going to be at 5, okay, and enter. So we're going to do that to every single one of those. Select it, radius, type in 5, enter, and just do that for every one of them, and you'll notice that they get bigger and they're easier to see. All right, and just do that for every single one of them. And I'm going to pause the video, and you can pause the video too and just do this real quick and then go ahead and restart the video. All right, and see you in a little bit. All right, we're back again, and okay, once we got all that, we have all that finished, we're going to go ahead and test this. So click on the hip controller and just hit the W key and move it down. You can see that everything's working really good. All right, did we get the chest? The top chest. Okay, so there are just 2 pieces there. All right, so that's all good. Looks like we got everything. If you missed something, just go back and get the scale set up. So at this point, I want you to save your work. So go ahead and go to File, Save Scene As. You can name it whatever you want to. I would name it something like Quick Rig Start. Okay, I've already got a bunch saved, so no big deal here. So you don't want to lose what you have. So if something goes horribly wrong, at least you're at this point. Okay. Now where we're at now is basically a good place to stop the rig. This is the quick rig. Is at this point is where things go wrong with the quick rig with Maya 2024, this is, I'm basically bypassing quick rig now. It gave me exactly what I wanted. What's happening with the quick rig now, it doesn't know how to handle adding joints, and when I go to the human IK, every time I add joints, it just stops at the stump of your wrist, and this part of it does not work properly, meaning that you go through the whole thing. It's very frustrating. You'll go through the whole thing, do all the hand stuff, get it skinned, it works great, do all your paint weights, which you spend an hour probably doing, hour or 2, and then you save it, and then you open it back up and nothing works. And then it says something like, go to your definition and reset everything. Well, it's going to find something wrong every time you change something. And even if you go in the hand and you reset the joints, and then you unlock it. They want you to unlock the definition, change it, add your joints in your hand, and add all these joints, and it keeps giving me an error, and the lock doesn't work. It doesn't. You can't lock it back up again, and it's just it's crazy. So they have a lot of work to do to figure this one out. So I just said bye. And then part of me, because I really love rigging from scratch and manually rigging everything, I've only used this one time and I didn't like it before. Now I really hate it. So I just thought, well, why don't I just try this? So I'm going to go ahead and rotate around with the hand. I'm just ignoring the quick rig now. So I'll go back to my channel box. I'm not even going to watch it or look at it. It's doing what I want it to do. So let's take what it gave me, and now I'm going to manually do everything myself. Okay, so what we're going to do is hold down the space bar, go to skeleton, go create joints, make sure you go into the option box, make sure you reset it. We want to have symmetry off. We're going to do both sides manually by hand. We're not going to mirror anything over. So we're just going to head and reset the tool. Everything looks good. Close it. And we're ready to create your joints. So I'm going to start right about here. Your thumb rotates. There's a joint usually right here. We want to make sure that, again, make sure that you have snap to projected center. So if you do go to the top view, which I'm going to do now, is you can go in here and start manually. Now I have my wireframe on because this helps me see where my joints are. Okay, if I model this correctly, you can see where my joints are because there's tighter edge loops together so it deforms better. So the next joint would be right about here, right where your webbing starts. Okay, there's that next one. Okay, and then there's the next one where you have your digit and then your end effector. And I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And we're just going to redo this process, hitting the G key. Whoops. I guess that remembered the last time I did that. So I'm going to do this again. Go to, it should set now. create joints. And I'm going to start right about here where the knuckle would be. And normally I would just follow this like this, as straight as I can. It's very important you keep it as straight as you can. Okay. All right. Now if you hold the shift key down, it goes straight. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the backspace if I make a mistake. Like that. And then I'm going to hit enter. Okay. Now once in a while I just got to check the front and make sure, in the perspective, just make sure that the joints are going into the center. Okay, and they are. That's very good. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is continue on. Now the G key should work now. There we go, the G key. So this time I'm going to show you how to go straight. So I'm going to click on the first joint, hold the shift key, and click on the second joint, third joint, and fourth joint, and hit enter. I can move that over a little bit. There we go. Now if you want to continue this process, you can do it. It doesn't like to go sideways or at an angle. Let's put it that way. Hit the G key again and click. Okay, so if I wanted to, I could just hold the shift key down and it will go straight. If I go this way, it won't. It will just ignore me. So I'm going to click on that and click on the end. So you can see I'm moving up here, clicking when it's going straight. And this time, when I hit enter, I can rotate it, the E key, and just rotate it into place, which is kind of fun. Now again, I'm going to go to the perspective and see where we're at. Okay, just make sure it is in the finger. And it looks like it's kind of down a little bit lower for that particular finger. So I'm going to move it up. And that's okay if you move things around. Just make sure it's inside that finger and positioned where you want it. That's very important. Position of joints is really important. All right, and then we're not duplicating stuff, so hit the G key, and we're going to do each one of these by hand. That's important. And this one I'm going to freehand. Hit enter when I'm done. All right, so what I want you to do is not duplicate this over to the other side. What I want you to do is just manually create the same thing we did over here on this hand. I'm going to pause the video so you can do that, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we're back. So we got the thumb and all the fingers done on this one. We're just going to kind of look and make sure they're all set up right. Okay, simple enough. All right, so we can see our joints here. It would be probably a good idea to name them. At this point, I'm just too lazy to do that. But I would highly recommend you doing that. Especially if you're handing it off to another artist. Alright, so you can see that we're working on the left. Okay, so I'm going to look for that rig in here. Let's see if I can get that. Click on this guy right here. Now you can see that just that teeny little bone on these are scaled very, very small. But I'm going to open this up. This one right here, the top one, I believe that's where it's going to be under. And I'm going to hold the shift key and click on the plus sign. And let's see, we want to parent our joints, okay, to that particular joint here. Okay, so let's see, does that highlight anywhere? I think it's highlighting in here. And there it is, left forearm. And there's the left hand. All right, so we want to take, I think it's either the joint or the controller. I think it's the joint we want. Let's see here. So we want to place that joint. See if I can just show joints here a minute. Show none and show viewport joints. There we go. Okay. So if things go wrong, it's because I didn't snap it to the joint. I'm just going to go with it with this. Let's see how it works. So I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to shift select the end, and I'm going to hit the P key for parent, and that did not do anything. It added a transform. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to select this, and I'm going to go into the left hand. I think that's it. So I'm going to click on this and hold the control key down and click on left hand, and I'm going to hit the P key, and nothing is showing. That's bizarre. That should work. Looks like joint 2 is connected. Joint 1 is connected to it. It's connected. Let me show all a minute. Let's see if it'll work. Show all. There we go. So if I click on that and move that down, yeah, the joints are working. They just don't show the joints between the two. So that's working just fine. There we go. So we're going to do the rest of these, okay, the same way. All right, so that's working just fine. I'm going to click on this guy right here, and we're going to parent this to the hand, the same thing. So we're going right to the left hand, hold the control key down, and hit the P key. So selecting that, and that looks good. I'll click on this guy, and hold control down, and go to left hand again, hit the P key, that's parenting. Here we go. And do the same thing with the rest of them. And now the pinky. And we want to make sure we click on the root of these fingers, which is the starting point of each one of them. And we got one last one to do, and P key. So we're going to double check this, click on this, move it up and down. You can see that moves with it. That's great. And we rotate it, does the same thing. They rotate with it. That's awesome. All right. Now we go to the other hand, do the same exact thing, and I'll pause the video, and we'll come back and check everything, make sure everything's working. All right, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, we're back. If you need to pause the video and stop it, that's fine. Okay, so basically this is the right hand. So I parented all these to the right hand. Okay, so if I open this up, the plus sign here next to the quick rig character right hand, you can see that I have all those joints underneath. Okay, so that's basically the trick. Now the rest of it is that we don't use the quick rig anymore, and I'm going to show you how to. And this is the workaround, because the quick rig just fell apart after getting the effectors and all that stuff down to the wrist. But we got to have a character that we can move its fingers. Okay, so the next step with this is a basic rigging technique that I can fall back on. And I'll show you how this all works. So what you want to do is, if you have everything named, okay, like I can select everything here, okay, and then we want to click on the root joint, okay, and I think it's the hips. If I click on the hips, everything turns green, okay. That is the root joint. Now I know this, basically that's not a joint, so that won't work. So we just want to click on the root joint, and that root joint will let us bind the skin to the skeleton. Okay, so we want to do the body first. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking on, if you have everything in a row and everything's set up, so it's easy to do, click on the first one, and then hold the shift key, click on the last one. That selects everything. Okay, I want to make sure my hair's on. It is, but I want to make sure it's open so I don't have to worry about it not, you know, being paint weighted. Another thing I noticed is that I didn't delete some of the parts of the body that you don't see, and it's okay for you to do that. Just make sure you don't get too close to where the clothing is. But you can delete anything underneath the clothing. I didn't do that. And I'll probably be sorry for it when I'm painting weights, because it makes it a lot harder to do that. But I also have everything in a layer, and that really comes in handy, and I'll show you how that all works too as well. Because everything in a layer is really going to be nice when I'm painting weights. I can just focus on one thing, and you'll see that to be true when I get into paint weighting. All right, so bind skin. So need to hold the control key and click on the hips, and now we're ready to bind the skin. So go to skin, and we're going to go to bind skin. Make sure you go into the option box. All right, so basically what you need to have set up is joint hierarchy, geodesic, voxel, classic linear interactive distance, max influences. We need that to be at a, let's see, let's do 5 or 6. We can't do, we have to do an even number, because the voxels, oh, let's see, interactive, we want neighbors, yeah, geodesic voxel, resolution 256. Everything else looks good. We can mess around with the max influences later. If we don't like what we have, click on that and click on apply and close. Alright, so boy, keep your fingers crossed. So click on the hips. This is how we're going to see if it worked. And there you go, look at that. Control Z. So now we bypassed the quick rig, but we were able to use most of the automation of the quick rig, which is good. And so now it's working, and now you can save it. That was one of the issues, is that you got all that done, and it did not save all the influences of the controllers on the rig. So you lost everything. And another student said they went into paint weights, and the paint weights didn't even work. So that's not good. So this process is pretty simple. Just bypass it altogether once you get to a certain part, and now everything's working fantastic. Of course, we have to paint weights. And the idea about painting weights is that don't fix things that are not broken. Okay, what does that mean? That means that don't overwork something. It can get really nasty quick with paint weights. And another thing is, just like sculpting, you don't go in with a sledgehammer when you're sculpting. You go in very slowly, take things away. And there are problem areas, and where are those? They're the elbows, under the armpits, in the groin area, in the back, in the front, and we've got issues with the knees. So GeoVoxel is great because it does a pretty good job out of the box, but there's some things we can do to tweak it out, you know, which makes it a little easier. But just kind of check it out and see how it looks. And the best way to do that is just kind of test it out. We have a hip rotation, hip sway, so we're all good there. We also have single hip move. These are a little bit, there we go. You can move the leg out and in, the thigh, in and out, okay. So that's good. We got our forward. Okay, we want to make sure it doesn't break. All right, and then we've got our chest up here. Rotate that, rotate forward. Okay, and then we're going to check our neck. And that's our chest part. That's our chest, and this is our neck. And that's really important. Yeah, that looks correct. All right. So you can see where weight, we need to paint weights on the head. So I'm going to start with that because the hair is really messed up. And the face is actually getting longer as I go back. You can see her lips. Look at that, her lips are expanding. All right, that's because some of the paint weights or some of the, when it binds the skin, it binds all the vertices together, or it finds the fall off of the vertices between each other in the joints. So we got to paint between those vertices. All right. We'll save that for the next video. I think this video went pretty long, and I'll see you in paint weights. Make sure you save your work.